Hi, thanks for joining me at Be the Radical Way. I'm Saz Russell, a neurospicy psychonauting skills for change coach, here to help you have more ease, care, and connection in your relationships. And I've been talking about attunement, how we can better attune to ourselves and self-validate. But today I want to shift focus and talk about how we can better attune to others. First, there's a difference between attention and attunement. As I mentioned in a previous podcast, Dr. Dan Siegel, a neuroscientist, defines attunement as, quote, how one person, a parent for example, focuses attention on the internal world of another, such as a child or spouse. The attunement of the teacher with students creates the grounding for them to become mindful. We see ourselves in the eyes of the other, and when that reflection is attuned, we have an authentic sense of ourselves. When the other has presence, when his or her reflective skills permit mindful awareness, then in that moment we are seen with authenticity and directness, end quote. So it's not only giving someone else attention, but how we give that attention and what kind of attention we're giving. My teacher, Nancy Chanteau, lineage holder of Skills for Change, which is the coaching method I use, makes this distinction between attunement and attention. She wrote this Facebook post on July 9th, 2024. There's a difference between attention and attunement. The one is like shining a flashlight at someone to see them. The other is directing the light to where it will be useful and out of the other person's eyes. Attune your attention to others and your relationship dynamics will improve immensely. Attune your attention to yourself and notice how you can align your actions with your needs and desires. There still might be external obstacles to getting your needs and desires met, but you'll show up for yourself as you face them, as your internal sense of abandonment will start to melt. So while we all crave attunement, mostly what we're giving and receiving is attention. And as a coach, I've learned how to attune to people, crafting the skill of paying attention and giving contingent responses when I'm engaging with others. It's a great skill to have professionally, as well as with people I'm close to, and yet I'm learning there are some pitfalls when offering attunement to casual acquaintances and people who don't know me very well. For instance, if someone hasn't received a lot of attunement, they've received attention but not attunement, my attunement can read as an invitation to deeper friendship or intimacy rather than simply as mindful presence. Or what I recently learned is that offering someone not just attention but attunement without a foundation of trust, commitment, consistency can feel like love bombing, because it's so painful when I remove my attuned presence. And here's the thing about attunement. Parents and children, teachers and students, these are hierarchical relationships. They have elements of cooperation, but there's a hierarchy of power in these dynamics. And the people with more power have taken on the responsibility of nurturing those under their care. Yet, when we enter into relationships with friends, lovers, people with whom we share relatively equal power, we can start demanding a parental level of responsiveness. So while it's possible to offer attunement to each other, we need to proceed with awareness, consent, and care. So let's say you're in an established relationship where there are trust and commitment. How do you offer attunement? One way is by using a tool in Skills for Change we call other-centric stories. Often the stories we tell ourselves about other people revolve around us and our experiences. We do this because we give ourselves a feeling of having some power over a story if we're involved. If someone's story is all about them and their experience, we have little or no power or influence over their story. And we don't like feeling powerless. Powerlessness can feel dangerous. And we're also culturally trained to avoid our feelings of powerlessness. Our culture encourages individualism to make us believe it's all about us. And if it's all about us, there must be something we can do to control the situation and get what we want, right? If we accept that someone else's story is all about them and might not have anything to do with us, we can feel scared, overwhelmed, and out of control because we aren't actually in control, at least not in control of someone else's feelings, thoughts, experiences, and desires. Most of us are having our own experiences and we're telling stories that put ourselves at the center. But when we can differentiate between our self-centric stories, that is, stories that are all about us, and other-centric stories, which are about other people, we're more likely to create a story that includes everyone and holds as much truth as possible. In a self-centric story, we're interpreting other people's behavior through the lens of ourselves. Michael's being quiet, he must be upset with me. Versus Michael's being quiet, I wonder if something's up. His face seems relaxed. Maybe he's just lost in thought. An other-centric story focuses on the other person and doesn't involve us. Maybe we're involved in their story, but maybe their story is just about them and their life and not us. Self-centric stories aren't necessarily negative, but when we make them about us, it's often because we're hoping that we can have some power and control in the situation. They tend to be less accurate because we're seeing it from our perspective only. When we include the other person's perspective and experience, we get access to the greatest amount of truth available. So practice putting yourself in the other person's shoes. If it wasn't about you, if it was all about them, what story would you tell? What can you imagine them thinking, feeling, wanting, needing? And be careful not to make this about what you think is best or right for the other person. What do they want for themselves? Let other people be the experts at their own lives. If you can practice not centering yourself, you'll become much more adept at offering someone the helpful light of your attuned attention. Thanks so much for listening. If you'd like help offering yourself or others high-quality attuned attention, book a one-to-one or mediation session with me using the link in my bio. So be it, see to it.